What is up, friends? Welcome to today. I wanted to talk about the idea of rebellion and a bit of a perspective shift that I've had on the idea of rebellion, and this was just something that came to me yesterday. Just a little reflective tidbit, and it's going to inspire this ramble today. Also, I have my journal here, or my planner, and I was going to read you guys a little sticky note that I wrote today as well. Sometimes I just have days where, it's almost so hard to focus on my work and on whatever I actually need to do because my brain is so occupied with a realization that I had or am having, and it's like everything's just fixated on that, and that's kind of where this little sticky note situation originated from, and then we'll get into the idea of rebellion and everything. So here we go. There's going to be a little bit of a cut. I switched the way that the phone is. So also, y'all, my acne is not having a good time. We're just going to call out ourselves, right? You know, we've got acne going on. I feel like I look a little disheveled at the moment, so deepest apologies and condolences if that's offensive. So anyways, let's go ahead and read our sticky notes. My life clicks and flashes before me, wide awake. Reels click and pan with an arid force dare I control. My hands tied beside me at times, others they feel soft and hang gently. A state of stasis and peace becomes a chemistry or physics equation in a single blink. Futures play before me. Possibilities, realities, both? Is it time to jump or not quite yet? Is the right image playing before me? Am I placed in the best spot for a safe yet bold and powerful trajectory? Eyes fixed so intently on an image, the image bleeds and melts into my skin. It is of me now. I am of it. A haunting, a breadcrumb trail, a light lead, or a clunky chained leash pull. Once I am infiltrated with a dream, nothing can tear me from the vision laid before my feet. My hands belong to trying. My body lends itself to what I see. Levitating and hovering above my flesh form, I am guided by an indestructible inner force. I am committed to her because I trust her. She is a knowing at this stage in the stop. Take me and keep taking me. So this came about because I had a recent realization, epiphany of what I want to do. I'm not going to say with my whole life because I have a hard time, call it a commitment issue, but like being fixed on one particular outcome, one particular path, one particular way, and that's it. So in terms of career, I used to have a hard time, and still do, I guess, to an extent, but figuring out, what is it that I want to do with my life? That's what I'm saying, the commitment to a career path, the commitment to what you're going to do for your life, And I've historically been the person that's flexed around here and there, done this job, done that job, and for the first time in my life, I'm in a career field that actually feels right. And I feel like I probably have talked about it on this channel a little bit, not in specific, and it's still something that I'm keeping private, which is funny because it's why are you talking about it? But I just feel that I've finally found the area that feels right with my soul, and the way that I know is that I'm listening to my intuition about it. And I feel like I've, had experiences in my life that you try things out, you figure out more about yourself, you figure out what it is that you actually like, and all of the pieces are seemingly coming together at this point where everything's clicking. And I see the previous jobs that I had, where that applies and where that's making it possible for me to even open this new door of an idea of what I want to do. And it does involve further education, it involves money, it involves time, it involves sacrifice. And part of me goes, well, can you even do this thing? Can you, genuinely? But that's where I think we'll start talking about rebellion. So, also, I think it's kind of funny that I'm wearing this cut up shirt. I'm not doing that on purpose. I don't know, I just wanted to fucking wear the shirt. But rebellion, my relationship with rebellion has evolved over time, and I feel like I'm finally in a place where I'm viewing it from a different light, and I'm just going to explain it. And I've never even talked about it out loud, so we're just going to grapple with the thoughts as we just spew them out. But I feel that rebellion is something that we do as people and as humans to gain a sense of control. And whenever things feel like they're spinning out of control or we feel lost, we might rebel against our current circumstances, the ones in front of us, and do the complete opposite thing of what that expectation is being placed on you, or those voices that are trying to tell you to be a certain way. You're going to rebel against that by you, and that's your own way of trying to take control of the situation and not allow other people to like dictate your life or tell you how you need to live or how you need to look or how you need to come across. And it's just so deeply unsettling to you that someone is trying to put you in a box, or that they're trying to categorize you in a certain way or view you in a way that you don't want to be viewed. And the only thing that you can think to do is to be like, okay, fuck them. I'm doing the complete opposite of that. I'm going to do what I want to do. And rebellion can be a very empowering thing, whether or not it is towards things that are healthy or things that are good for you. That's a whole different situation, but it's just the act of rebelling is what is making you survive right now, and it's making you okay. And I guess the way that my brain thinks is I just like go through a bunch of different processes, so just bear with me. But obviously the whole stereotypical like teenage rebellion, where maybe you had strict parents and they had these expectations of you, and they were really wanting you to hold yourself to a certain standard, and maybe you did try as hard as you could to please them, or as hard as you could to be a good student or get good grades and just be good. Like you just wanted to be good. That, I feel like that was more my thing back in the day, was like wanting to be good, wanting to be the best I could be. And I fell into that, and I feel like it did end up creating anxiety in my life and holding myself to too high of a standard, to the point where it's like, obviously as teenagers our hormones are crazy and we're figuring out who we are, and we still don't know. We're adults, we still don't know who we are. But having other people have an external opinion about you while you're going through emotional turmoil and confusion, it lends for you to obviously rebel, right? So I don't think that I had confidence at the time to even rebel. And I'm just trying to think stereotypically, because this wasn't my experience, but the whole like dressing goth and everything like that, or being into punk music or alternative stuff and being more free, if you will, or smoking weed and things in high school, or like drinking super young in high school, all that stuff. That's something that people do, I feel, as a form of rebellion, or as a form of seeking self-freedom and self-empowerment. Is you're going to sneak out, you're going to go hang out with the boys with your girlfriend group, and you're going to go do all this stuff, and it makes you feel a sense of adrenaline that you're making a choice, right? So it's a very empowered thing. Whether or not, like I said, that it's healthy or not, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you are consciously making a choice, and you are rebelling by making a choice that is not in accordance with what people are expecting of you or wanting you to do. So that's you rebelling, right? And back to the confidence thing, I feel that I was too fearful at the time to rebel, and I feel like I was under the like good girl, goody two shoes kind of label for a very significant chunk of my life. And I feel that my rebellious phase came later, and it happened more towards middle of college, where I was exploring smoking weed and doing art and not following a career path that was maybe commonplace or something that would have been seen as successful or deemed as successful. I just didn't care at the time. I just did, my art degree because I wanted to do that. I loved it. I had so much fun, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience. And I also did a digital marketing kind of degree too, or like strategic advertising type of thing. It was creative advertising, but I was still wanting to rebel against that even. I don't know why I'm saying all this different stuff. I guess just to show the evolution of what rebellion meant to me. So for me, an active rebellion was doing the art degree, right? Because I didn't care at the time about my finances or about my future or what that was going to look like. I didn't give a shit because I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I felt really empowered making that choice. And then post-graduation, another form of rebellion I feel like arose, and it was taking a job that didn't even have shit to do with my degree. That was rebellious to me. That was very, I don't give a shit. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm feeling good that I'm doing something that I want to do. Again, don't care about money, don't care about longevity, don't care about investing in myself or in my life. I just did something to do something. And it was a field that was helping people, and it was nonprofit, and it's whenever I worked at shelter, the domestic violence shelter, and that felt rebellious. That felt scandalous. That felt very against the grain, and I loved that at the time. And I'm looking back, I'm really proud of myself for making the decisions that I made. Now, rebellion means something different to me because it's saying, okay, let's rebel against the belief systems that held you back. Let's rebel against everything that you ever told yourself for your entire life. Let's rewrite that storyline, and let's do something that, you know what? Old you would have never even guessed, would have never even thought possible to do. But we're going to do it, and we're going to approach it. And whether or not it is successful or happens or becomes a reality doesn't really matter in a way. But then again, okay, how do I even explain it without like saying everything? It's like just the act of you deciding to fight for yourself and to fight for your storyline and to make actual tangible changes in your life. You need to have a rebellious spirit. You need to rebel against all those thoughts and those patterns that you told yourself for a while of, yeah, you're not really capable of having one of those big time paying jobs. Like I'm steady. I'm fine. Like it's okay. Yeah, like I want a house one day, and yeah, I want a garden and like animals to take care of, and I want to build a certain life for myself. But, maybe we can wait, and like maybe, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it'll happen, right? But I'm done. I'm done having that as my storyline, is the whole, we're just gonna wait and see. And we're going to see if maybe other people fall into the equation and can make that more possible. I don't want that anymore. I feel that rebelling for me right now is to fight for myself, and it's to fight for my future and what I want and the life that I want for myself. So, we gonna build this thing ourselves, ladies and men and everybody in between. We have got this shit. And it might feel a little impostery at first, but you can do it. You can change your life around, and you can fix, you can mend, you can switch your life around. And I feel like this sounds like cheesy and stupid, but it's like, I feel like I'm proof of that, because like, it doesn't seem like a common path of goes to college, doesn't do absolutely anything with their degree, kind of flails around a little bit afterwards. That happens sometimes. That's not really a unique experience, but I think I just have never really related to the people that like go to school for, let's say, nursing or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, clearly we know what you're going to do, right? Because you picked that path. You did that for yourself. But now that I've found the arena of work that I want to do, I'm like obsessed with it. I really am passionate about it, and it like I said, all the pieces are coming together. Like where I worked before, working with people who have adverse situations and really hardship. They have a lot of hardship, lots of struggles, lots of forces against them. And the whole goal is for them to rise above and for them to, leave those abusive relationships and leave those difficult situations and get a job and start working on stability and get a safe place to live. Like that's the goal, like in terms of shelter and helping residents. And sometimes people do come out, they do come up, but there's still patterns that can slip them and pull them right back into where they just left. And I think another act of rebellion is fighting against the pattern is rebellion. I think I've already kind of said that, but it's serious. Like, I don't know. It is so serious to rebel against your patterns, because if you do not stop these patterns, they will have a hold on you for eternity until you stop that pattern. And I mean it. I feel, anyways, like I was saying, like working there and then working at a different place where I was more in a receptionist role, and I also did like data entry shit for construction and whatever, and I was like, oh, like design and construction and this and that, like maybe this, but that didn't end up working out for me. But I was disrespected in that arena. I was not feeling good. I was not feeling encouraged. I, to be honest, cried in my car a good bit because of my boss. And like, that's another situation. Like, you need to leave situations that are holding you back and holding you down from being the lovely, successful, amazing person that you are. And you can't let other people's treatment of you hold you back from what you're meant to have. So leaving that situation and then into the job that I'm in now, where I feel so empowered, so good. And I'm in a very supportive environment, and it made me see like that deep contrast of the two made me realize, oh my God, I knew I wasn't being treated right here. Even at the other place, you could say that wasn't the right treatment either. But like, once you're actually removing yourself from the toxicity, you see how important health is and healthiness is and a lack of toxicity. You see how important this is for your brain and for how you view yourself. And if I would have still been in the same job that I was in 2 times ago, 1 time ago, whatever, I wouldn't have had this realization now of like, oh, I think I want to do a little bit of further education action, and I think that I actually can do this, and I feel like this is a goal that I want to set for myself and just approach it and go for it. And I'm just so proud of myself for fighting for myself. So for you all, I know I was talking about me, but then I flip it to you. What I want for you all is to listen to your heart and listen to your intuition and fight for what that is saying. In the micro, like in the right now, what you're looking at, or, past situations, whatever, until you have like the macro big picture awareness that will just come about one day, or like I said, like the pieces start to click, or like something makes sense. Like, until you get to these little points, it can feel very confusing, very bogged down, very upset and lost and just not really sure, or you feel like things are just unfortunate, like a series of unfortunate events. Like, what is all this shit? Oh my God, like, why does this keep happening? Oh my God. But I think these things keep happening and the misfortunes continue to happen until you take real action and real change in your life. And then you'll start to get little whispers, little inspirations, little thoughts, and you'll get some puzzle pieces that are made just blatantly freaking obviously clear to you. And you're like, oh, okay, good. So I made this positive change, and now these other changes are going to be available to me because I made this one change in the beginning. But if you don't make that one change in the beginning, then you will never get to this other series of changes that you need to get to the And I feel like I say this all the time, and maybe don't remember, like maybe I'm not referencing it as much as I think, but I don't really believe that there's like one ultimate end of the day goal, like huge, fantastic. There might be some things that you feel is a non-negotiable about what you want for yourself and for your life. And I feel like for me, I might lightly have some of that. Like I said, like to have a house, like for me, that's a non-negotiable. Like I don't want to be in an apartment forever. Like I want to own my own land, property, whatever. Like for me, that's a non-negotiable. But in terms of like flexibility of it, you can have flexibility within a non-negotiable, right? Or it might just straight up be one way and you see it one way and that's how it is. And no matter how many seasons you go through, how many, little phases of growth that you have, that one thing hasn't changed. Great, because it's meant for you because you have not wavered with it. And with your changes and with your different evolutions of you that come out, this one thing has still stayed solid. That's okay, right? But also at the same time, this is just generally for everybody, and maybe not everyone has that end goal type of thing, but just be open-minded and be flexible to how this thing or how this stuff or these events are going to present themselves to you or how they're going to happen, because I would have never thought that I'd be doing the type of job that I'm doing now and working towards this had I not been through all those other seasons of confusion. And like, how do I explain what I'm trying to say? I wouldn't have known to ask for this. I wouldn't have known what to look for in terms of this season in my life right now. Like I wouldn't have known like what kind of job to go pick and do that would like match this frequency of where I'm at or where I'm wanting to be. I wouldn't have known. So that's where it is a little bit confusing whenever you're like, well, Madison, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to do. I genuinely don't know. And I don't have clarity. So what do you suggest? Not that anyone's fucking asking me for advice, but my suggestion, if you're in that state, is to explore and is to be very flowy and non-rigid and be more open to drastic changes that might not even make sense all the way. But that's where it's hard, because I'm like, if I were to give someone that advice, they might take it and it might go off the deep end. So I'm like, I don't know. At the same time, we'll like do a little caveat, little synopsis connection right here. While you're deeply exploring and while you're experimenting or thinking about things or wanting to try on a different hat, try on a different costume, try on a different job, try on a different presentation of you, be really calm and at peace with yourself while you're doing this. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you just need to like have access to your inner voice while you're doing this stuff. But again, at the same time, I feel like I didn't even have that perspective back then to be like, yes, I'm listening to my inner voice. I would just say whenever you hear these, like I said on this, these clicks, these flashes, these things that come up, these ideas that you get that just pop in your head and they don't leave you alone, they just keep coming up over and over and over again, that's a very good clear sign that that is an area that you need to work on, you need to change, you need to fix, or you need to leave a situation. If you're having a very repetitive thought coming up, or maybe you start to see signs and synchronicities out there in the world, in the universe, to tell you that, hey, yeah, this right here, this is exactly what you need to do. And if you're paying attention, and that's where I was trying to say, like, be peaceful with yourself, be calm with yourself, and like receptive. If you are so chaotic and so bogged down and so stressed out and so freaked out by everything and in such a deep state of confusion, it's hard to hear those signs and to see those signs if you don't have a sense of like connection with your intuition. So I don't really quite know how to explain how to get in tune with your intuition, other than if intuition is not something that has come easy to you, I would just say the advice is an area that you think you need to change or that you know you need to change, make one change in that arena and see what that does. And see the receptivity of people around you. Maybe if you are a person that is like extremely mute and you go in public and you don't fucking talk to a single soul, like me, or was like me, still kind of is. But if you make one change in that arena, in a certain arena, maybe all of a sudden people are talking to you. That's what happened to me. I'm just trying to think of examples. It was like people would just like either at the gym, like compliment what I was wearing, or like I wear the same shit all the time, but for some reasons people were starting to talk, or people were starting to interact with me in a way that I was not used to. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. People are actually talking to me. That's positive, because this is something that I feel like I've had an issue with, and I feel like people don't talk to me, and I'm extremely unapproachable and blah, blah, blah. But this is a change. Oh, I see that change. I notice that change. That's good. But what I was doing, it wasn't even in the terms of like social stuff. Like I wasn't going out. I wasn't seeking like to grow socially, but in work, I was being more, having to speak up, be a little bit more outgoing, be a little bit more confident walking into these rooms that I was entering. And suddenly different areas of my life started to like, the doors just flung open. So that's an area where you're like, okay, intuition, if you're noticing things changing around you, they could be connected. Part of me feels like I need to make like just a straight up like spiritual video about, I did think about doing like a tarot oracle type of thing, because I haven't done that in a long time. And if you guys have followed me for a minute, you might know that I had a Patreon at one point, and I don't anymore. But I did used to do personal readings for people, and I did weekly readings. I did like 3 a month, every single month for like 2 years. I think it was almost 2 years. So I've done a lot of tarot, I've done a lot of oracles, I've done a lot of things like that, and just reading cards, I feel like is kind of a way to maybe explain what I'm trying to say in terms of listening to your intuition or your guides or signs, or being able to pick up relationships between things and understand what's going on. Cards are a visual way of doing it, so maybe that would be good for me to sit here and like explain to you guys like how that works, and then maybe that might give you a better idea of how to apply that into your 3D life as a person. Because even just like looking at tarot cards, like, or oracle cards, whatever, they might have like a similar color relationship. So then you know, like, oh, those two are supposed to go together because I see the visual relationship between these, something like that. And then like the tone or the energy of them just melt together. So then I know, okay, well, this message goes together. So whatever this card says and this card says, those are meant to be like a pair or a matching kind of thing. Whereas this card is very like dark, and it has this color relationship, or maybe there's this animal that's repeated on this card and it's also on this other card, so I'm seeing that those go together, and then what do those messages say? So that's kind of just a quick little explanation without like having anything in front of me. But I feel that that was another way that I got to really know myself and know my intuition, is whenever I did tarot, and that was like a big part of my life after a tragic breakup in college type of thing. And that was a way of me kind of like finding myself in things, was tarot, oracles, things like that. And it was a really magical, beautiful time in terms of self-discovery and like really getting to know my spiritual side, I guess. So I think at that point I did a lot of like journaling, and I did a lot of noticing signs outside of myself. I noticed animals. I noticed if there was like a dead bird on the ground, I would like look up what bird that was and the spiritual meaning of that bird and whatever, and then I would journal about it, and then maybe I'd hear a song and it'd have a certain lyric in it, and then I tie that to a different message, and like everything just seemed very synchronistic and connected at the time. So that for me was also a way of me listening to my intuition and like learning about my intuition. But as I'm getting older and the less I really get involved with tarot and things like that, I notice that like I'm able to do this stuff without having to have a physical tool in front of me, aka cards or whatever. And I'm able to just kind of test around and remove factors here or replace factors here. And life is literally just a big ol' science experiment. It's just a big ol', like, you know, trial and error thing. And we mess up a little bit, and we switch some factors in and out, and we learn, and we take notes, and we analyze, and we try to not repeat previous mistakes and things like that. So I don't know. That's pretty much it. I hope that this video was helpful, informative, calming, reassuring, something. I don't know. I know I talked about myself a whole lot in it, but I hope that this can serve as some kind of inspiration to you too, that again, with this rebellious stuff, like, just rebellion at the end of the day is fighting for yourself. And I think rebellion can actually be a healthy thing. It can turn into a healthy thing. It doesn't always have to be destructive. It doesn't always have to be about going for things that are not good for you just for the sake of it. Now it's more empowering to take that back into my hands and be like, you know what? No, I'm going to rebel against these fucking patterns, right? Because I am stronger than these patterns. I am above these patterns, and I've made so many changes in my life recently that I feel, or not even just recently, but like past year and 2 years even, like it's like not even work anymore, you know what I mean? Because I've grown that much in certain areas. So it's possible. It really is possible to flip shit around and create a whole new life for yourself. But I will say, and last note, and then I'll let y'all go, is like, it really is the people that you surround yourself with. I find solitude to be very, very beneficial and helpful. I mean, that's the same thing, but just pull back from distractions, pull back from people or areas, and just get right with you, get right with that intuition, and make it your goal to be more clear-minded with yourself and your intentions, and be more intentional in the choices that you're making in order to create a different outcome and a different life that you want for yourself. And it's 1,000,000% possible. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this video and supporting me as always. And I will talk to you all in my next one. Bye, guys.